is to have as our highest goal, or maybe the focus of our activity, a political goal. And what I mean by that is that the idea of remember I talked at the beginning about the nation state and the difference between modernity and pre-modernity. You know, many people think that that in pre-modernity, before colonialism, what we had was some kind of Muslim government or Islamic state. And it's true to some extent, but the research that we've done on court records, the records in Sharia courts, the research that we've done historically shows that, contrary to what many Muslims think, before the establishment of the modern nation states, Muslims were not going to the Sharia courts a lot. They were not looking to the government to solve their problems. That before modernity, most Muslims had very little involvement with the state. That the focus of their life was on their community. And that when they had a disagreement, whether it was within the family or between neighbors or between business partners, most of the time they solved their problems on the community level. Why were they able to do that? They were able to do that because they had relationships with each other. They knew each other, they had relationships, and they would rather solve their issues peacefully and take care of each other peacefully than go outside the community. That also meant that if someone's business failed, they were able to go to someone within their community who was able to help them with a loan, a qard hasan. If there was someone who was a widow, she didn't have to go to the state to go to a welfare agency where she didn't know the people, where there were bureaucrats. She went to the people in her community. In fact, they came to her. She didn't have to go to them because they knew her situation. So the focus should be on community, not state. The problems that we see today, we see Muslims fighting literally with each other. We see them fighting over which version of Islam, which understanding of Islam they should impose on everyone else. This is the wrong way to look at things. We need to flip our understanding, not to be individualistic, not to say, okay, everyone should just do their own thing or have their own opinion, but we have to build our institutions at the community level. There are so many Muslims who are talking about this country and that country and what's going on here, yet in their own mosque community, in their own Muslim community, in their neighborhood, there are people who are suffering. They don't have enough money to take care of their kids. They're sick, they can't get out of the house. They're single and they're very lonely. They may be converts to Islam and they have no one who invites them to their house for dinner. Ramadan's coming in a few days, and I'm sure the situation is the same here in Poland as it is in Canada and the United States and any other place where there are Muslim converts in a minority context. There are so many Muslims who are converts to Islam who will wake up next week by themselves at 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning, have their breakfast by themselves, they'll fast all day, they'll go to the masjid and pray, maybe someone will say salam to them, maybe they won't. They're going to make their iftar by themselves. It's going to be the loneliest time. They're going to sit there, they're going to have gone to work, with no Muslims around them, and they're going to break their fast by themselves. They'll go to the masjid to pray, maybe 1 or 2 people will talk to them, maybe not so many, and they'll go home and they'll start over again. They'll come for Eid prayer, Salat al-Eid at the end of Ramadan, they'll pray with everyone will go to their family, they'll go to their home by themselves. We are not true communities yet. Why are we so obsessed with this government and this state and that state, and intervening in each other's lives in a way that is only disruptive and not helpful? You know, this is where we need to focus our attention. I understand, you know, this is the problem. I've been following, you know, I got in the plane yesterday and all I was thinking about was Egypt, what's going on there. And when I got off in the plane, I checked the internet to see what's happening now. You know, I have so many friends there, I have family there, it's very upsetting. Yet, if I focus only what's happening there and I forget those people who are Muslim and who are in my community and who I can do something about, then what do we have left? You know, we may not be able to do anything about what's happening in these other countries. And I'm not saying that you won't feel attached, especially if your family's there, especially if you come from that country. You're going to care about it. But the reality is that if you're living in a place, you have to be involved with the people who are of that place. So I want us to focus more on relationships and less on states. Focus on people and less on politics. Because the reality is, if we care for each other, if we love each other, if we build a community, then we'll be strong. We'll be strong psychologically, spiritually, as an institution, and then maybe we'll be able to do a little of something to help other people. You know, maybe we'll be able to do something, not a lot, but at least something to help them. But if we are so anxious, if we're so distressed, if we're so obsessed with what's going on, that we forget each other, subhanAllah, we see it even in our own homes. How many parents are watching the news and seeing all the bad news that's going on? Their children are sitting there bored with nothing to do. You know, they're being neglected for the sake of concern about what's happening in another place. It's difficult, and I have a lot of empathy, but we really need to refocus our attention and pay attention to building community, building relationships, knowing who is there. Go, you know, meet people, really reach out and try to communicate with someone who is who's new to the community or who you haven't seen before. Find out what their needs are, and this will help us, because honestly, we're not going to help these other communities, these other countries, unless we're strong ourselves. And strong doesn't mean tough. It doesn't mean that we have harsh language. It means that we have strong bonds with each other.